During this video, you may hear banging noises, pounding noises, sawing noises. This is due to my neighbor's remodeling efforts next door. It has nothing to do with the operation of the trains during these videos. This is Ted Doskaris. Today's date is October 8th, 2018. And this is a follow-up train, a test train, with 31 cars on it. And again, the train has all centerset Kadee type couplers that are body mount, but in many cases with custom designed coupler boxes, such as this one here, as explained in a previous video, that goes on the USA Trains SD70. And it has what we call a CamPac box. Camarillo Pacific is a startup company, as Colin Camarillo calls it, that will offer these couplers, and also there's a fairing here that's offered, and a special pedestal, and also a plug for plugging the pilot opening for the end of the loco, the rear end that doesn't have a snowplow. So in this case, the SD70 has a fairly long wheelbase, and its pivot center is between the first or the rear two axles closest to the fuel tank in both front and rear truck. And so what that means with such a long wheelbase locomotive is that the overhang, as it comes past the outer rail here, will position the coupler way farther out. And so, hence, I'm using a swinging box technique here, in which it's designed to couple to other cars or other locos that is designed to work on 8-foot diameter track. In this particular track, it's a 10-foot diameter circle. And the video that I'd shown before operated this train around this 10-foot diameter, 270-degree loop, without any derailments. And so that goes to show you that body mount couplers are really a benefit for hauling a long heavy train. And some people have had trouble with truck mounts because they're not that suitable for a long heavy train. So this train again has intermodal cars on it in the back, which we can't see right now, but I'm going to make the train start to go outside, and because under this house, with my underhouse suspended layout, I can't double stack the container cars with the second stack of containers, because they'll hit the beams that I have under the house, interfere maybe by about 1/4 of an inch, not much. But when I designed this suspended layout in the 1990s, I believe it was, that the tallest car available at that time to me that I use as a criteria for clearances was an Aristocrat dome car, passenger dome car. So that gives you a little bit of background, and so I'll proceed to run the train outside and then prepare to put the second containers on the intermodal cars. Okay, now the train with the 4 intermodal cars on the front, several other cars on the back, totaling 31 cars, is now outdoors, and I have to add the third locomotive, which is an SD40-2 USA Trains locomotive. And again, all these engines and cars have centerset type Kadee couplers, and they are in the case of the locomotives, in custom-made coupler boxes. So here are the intermodal cars. I put the second containers, and there's one under the bridge there, or 2 under the bridge, I guess, and the 2 front ones here. Now, the USA Trains gives you these little pegs, and they're $6.50 for, I think, 8 of them. And I didn't have quite enough to put the pins on the bottom container on a couple of the cars, or 3 of the cars. So hopefully they won't slide back and forth, and hopefully it won't be too windy, because the wind will probably blow these things over. So again, these container cars were weighted and lowered. They were lowered about almost a tenth of an inch, and there's a steel plate under the container that goes into the weld of the car. And so with the extra weight and the two containers, to my recollection, they're about 5 or 5.5 pounds each. So that gives it some more stability. So I'll proceed to run the train and we'll see what happens. So this is my first attempt at running the containers outdoors, because again I didn't have the clearance under the house with the double stack, that is. Now it's ascending the first loop of the double helix here I have, and in the backyard in this far corner of the lower section here, that's probably the steepest and sharpest curve in this part, and it's roughly 14-foot diameter and approaching almost 3% grade what the engines are traversing now. So there's the train's entirety won't come out till it's around most of this loop. So I'll give it a little more speed. I have an Aristocrat Revolution here, or it's now Revolution Company by itself since Aristocrat was out of business. And I have some range problem outdoors because the receiver is under the house. Now the most critical part from my experience of string lining is by the back fence once this train pulls this grade here. So we'll see what happens here with if it's going to tip over. It'll probably tip over here. Well, it looks like the container car's made it over the critical part there. Let's see what it does over here. There's just a mild breeze up now, and if I get any kind of notable windy breeze, I'm sure it'll blow these containers over. There's a lot of surface area. Now this AML TTX car, the XS height car, it weighs about 4.2 pounds, and yet if the wind comes up, it can get blown over off the track. Usually where the containers are going over now, it's critical for wind. it's headed for the viaduct. This is a horseshoe curve. Now this is the sharpest curve on the outdoor layout. It has 10-foot diameter tracks in many of the sections. So we'll see what happens here with the containers. Looks like they made it over that part. So I'm going to have to go down here, throw the turnout, so it can continue around the loop. And this time I'll have it go up to the center section of the layout. We're going to have to go up here and throw another turnout pretty soon. Throw this turnout here. There. Here again, it's going to go over the viaduct horseshoe curve here. Coming down the grade. And again, all body mount Kadee couplers. Most of these cars are, or many of them are aristocrat Evans cars, like the Santa Fe shock control, and the one in the front is an LGB 50-foot car. And they've all got, in most of those cases, they have Kadee 906s mounted on spacers. That's a 60-foot USA Trains boxcar. It has Kadee 906s mounted on a custom-made spacer. And I'll just let it come down the grade one more time. So the engines are going to come around this Alberta spruce tree. There they are. Picking up, so it's possible when the containers get down to the lower part there, they might blow over. can tell by listening to my chimes, wind chimes. Now here is the intermodal, the train pulling the intermodal cars plus several others coming around approaching the viaduct. So I just thought I'd get a close-up view of it here as it's entering the viaduct. So again, this section here is roughly 10-foot diameter. It's got a straight section in between the relaxed curves going in and out of it. And going out of it, there's an S-bend, and there's about a 2-foot section of track between the diverging paths, which is really a necessity when you have these longer cars and longer engines. Again, all body mount couplers, center set type Kadees, and they're compatible with other center set body mount couplers, but not compatible with truck mount couplers. So you don't want to mix truck mount couplers and body mount couplers, particularly on the curves, because you're going to ask for trouble pulling the cars off the track if you have a body mount coupler, loco for example, or a car coupled to a truck mount car going around particularly a tighter curve, which would probably be anything under, say, 16 feet or 14 feet diameter. And there you have it. Now in this video clip I'll show the coupler action between the trailing SD70 and the first intermodal car as it's going around this area that's going to go over the viaduct here. Again, it's the tightest diameter track I have on the layout. And there you have it.